In the year 1442, 1,000 Transylvanian boys are conscripted into the Turkish army. Among them is one who would later be known as Vlad the Impaler. Haunted by his brutal past, Vlad seeks a peaceful reign in Transylvania. Near a Transylvanian stream, a Roman named Scelgium stumbles upon a Turkish scout's helmet, signaling potential danger. Vlad, now prince of both Wallachia and Transylvania, realizes the Turks might be planning an invasion. He traces the helmet's origin to Broken Tooth Mountain and sends his men to prepare for war, while he attempts to negotiate with the Turks. At the mountain, Vlad and his men explore a cave, where disturbed bats and scattered bones suggest something sinister. Suddenly, a creature from the darkness attacks, dragging one of his men away. Despite Vlad's efforts to fight it off, he and his remaining soldier are forced to flee the beast. Back at Castle Dracula, Vlad consults brother Lucian about the menacing creature. Lucian reveals the lore of a vampire, a man who sought demonic power but was cursed to eternal darkness. Meanwhile, Vlad reunites with his wife Mirena and son Ingras, but the shadows of his encounters weigh heavily on him. Tension rises when Ottoman general Hamza Bey arrives during the Easter feast, demanding 1,000 boys for the Sultan's army. Vlad tries to resolve the situation with a tribute, but the demand stands, stirring unrest among the townspeople. As Vlad contemplates his grim choices, he revisits the Sultan, Mehmed II, hoping to negotiate for the boys' freedom. Their conversation brings back memories, but Mehmed's demands are unyielding, forcing Vlad into a desperate corner. Amidst familial strife and looming war, Vlad faces the ultimate choice between his people's safety and his family's integrity. As he hands his son over to the Turks, the scene sets the stage for a dramatic confrontation, testing Vlad's resolve and the depths of his newly awakened powers. As Vlad holds his son's hand to hand him over to Hamza Bey, the general's expectation of resistance highlights the gravity of Vlad's sacrifice. Whispering to Ingras to run to his mother once he gets the chance, Vlad seizes the moment to steal Hamza Bey's sword and strikes him down. As the conflict erupts, Mirena shields Ingras, while Vlad confronts the Turkish soldiers alone. His skills are formidable, yet he is aware of the impending reinforcements. Kazan criticizes Vlad, but the prince remains firm, arguing that no child should be sacrificed for the sake of the nation. He commands that his family be secured in the castle, then he journeys alone to Broken Tooth Mountain, climbing to the cave where the vampire resides. Inside, the vampire greets Vlad, who swings his sword in the pitch black, trying to fend off this unseen adversary. The vampire, intrigued by Vlad's lack of fear and hope, advises him to hide his silver ring, which offends the creature. Vlad confesses his need for the vampire's power to protect his kingdom and family. The vampire acknowledges Vlad's lineage, mischievously referring to him as the son of the devil, though Vlad corrects him. Dracula signifies the dragon, not the devil. The creature taunts Vlad about his violent past, and Vlad concedes that he felt nothing when impaling his enemies, rationalizing his monstrous deeds as necessary to instill fear and deter aggression. After wounding Vlad and tasting his blood, the vampire remarks that Vlad does not truly understand monstrosity, but he is about to teach him. He recounts his own curse, pinned in the cave by the one who turned him, and sees Vlad as his chance for redemption. The vampire bites his own arm, letting his blood into a skull, and instructs Vlad to drink it, promising immense power, but warning of an insatiable thirst for human blood. If Vlad can abstain for 3 days, he will revert to mortal. Failing that, he will turn completely, freeing the vampire to seek revenge with Vlad as his minion. Driven by desperation, Vlad drinks the blood. The vampire turns away as Vlad's body undergoes a profound transformation. Regaining consciousness in a stream, Vlad feels the burn of his silver ring against his newly sensitive skin. He removes it, discovers his rapid healing abilities, and becomes acutely aware of every minute sound and the thermal signatures of all living things around him. After regaining consciousness, Vlad retrieves his silver ring and, adapting to his new condition, strings it on a necklace. Suddenly, distant explosions capture his attention, prompting him to harness his newfound speed. Morphing into a swarm of bats, he speeds towards his besieged castle. Upon arrival, Vlad finds his kingdom under attack. Reunited with his family, he addresses his terrified subjects, admitting that a good prince might have surrendered their sons to keep peace, but he refuses to succumb to defeat. As cannons breach the castle walls, Vlad confronts the invading army solo, displaying ferocious strength and turning the battlefield into a tableau of fallen enemies. His soldiers arrive to find no enemy left to fight. Vlad urges them not to dwell on his actions, but to trust his intentions to protect them. Aware that more adversaries are imminent, he advises his people to seek refuge at Kosia Monastery in the mountains. During the journey, Vlad struggles with his monstrous cravings, especially when he sees his men eating. He retreats to his tent, where Mirena waits. Their moment of intimacy is cut short when Vlad is overwhelmed by the scent of her blood, prompting him to leave abruptly. In the woods, Skelgium follows Vlad, not to harm him, but to offer himself as a servant, slicing his hand to provide blood. Vlad, resisting his urges, dismisses Skelgium sternly. The next day, Mehmed surveys the gruesome scene of impaled soldiers on the battlefield. Meanwhile, Mirena finds Vlad agonizing over his transformation, the silver ring searing his flesh. She is terrified by his altered state and the disappearance of his battle scars. Vlad, revealing his monstrous transformation, lets the sunlight scorch his skin to prove his point, and Mirena drags him to safety, questioning his reasons. Vlad insists it was all to save their son, promising restoration if he can withstand his thirst for blood. As the townspeople are ambushed, Vlad commands Mirena to lead them to the monastery while he distracts Mehmed's forces. As night falls, he morphs into bats to scout for Mehmed's men. Amidst the chaos, Dmitri, a loyal soldier, sacrifices himself to protect Mirena and Ingras, eventually succumbing to his injuries. Vlad, tempted by Dmitri's blood, refrains from drinking it, moved by the cries of his son. Upon reaching the monastery, Vlad confronts Kazan's disapproval but asserts his leadership, preparing his people for the upcoming battle. Meanwhile, Mehmed remains confident in his victory, despite rumors of Vlad's monstrous transformation. Inside the monastery, Lucia recognizes Vlad's affliction and confronts him with a silver sword, offering a merciful end. Vlad refuses, and as the sunlight reveals his vampiric sensitivity, the fearful crowd demands his execution. Mirena tries to protect him as the soldiers set the tent ablaze, but Vlad emerges unharmed, reproaching the crowd for their disloyalty while reminding them of his sacrifices. Mirena calms him, and Vlad rallies his people for battle, retreating to pray for strength in the church. Ingras joins him, offering bread and understanding, strengthening their bond. As dawn approaches and Vlad's powers wane, Mirena vows to fight alongside him until the end, recalling their vows of eternal love. United, they prepare as Mehmed's army advances. Discovering his control over bats, Vlad amasses them at the monastery, ready to unleash them on Mehmed and his soldiers as the final confrontation looms. In the heat of battle, Vlad harnesses his supernatural abilities, summoning a swarm of bats to thwart Mehmed's advancing soldiers. Amidst the chaos, he discovers that the supposed sultan he targets is merely an imposter. Meanwhile, a small group of soldiers exploits the distraction, infiltrating the monastery and reaching Mirena's room. As Mirena and Ingras attempt to escape up the tower, the real Mehmed, disguised in a soldier's armor, intercepts them. Tragedy strikes when a soldier's punch sends Mirena tumbling from the tower's edge. Hearing her scream, Vlad transforms into bats, racing to her aid. Although he dispatches the last of Mehmed's men in the tower, Mirena slips from the ledge. Vlad dives after her in a desperate attempt to save her, but as she lies injured, Mehmed seizes Ingras and escapes. With the sunrise threatening his powers, Mirena urges Vlad to drink her blood, offering herself to ensure his transformation into a full vampire. This would give him the strength needed to rescue their son. Reluctantly, Vlad acquiesces, turning fully into the creature of the night, thus freeing his creator from his own curse. Now fully empowered and mourning the loss of Morena, Vlad returns to the battlefield. Finding survivors, he forcibly turns one into a vampire, gathering strength for his retaliation. Armed with his Impaler's armor, he prepares for a final confrontation. As Mehmed stands amidst silver coins, armed with a silver sword, Vlad faces him in a brutal duel, weakened by the silver's burn. Despite his physical suffering, Vlad ultimately prevails, transforming back into bats to strike down Mehmed and declaring himself Dracula, the son of the devil, before rescuing Ingras. As Vlad and his new vampiric forces contemplate their next move, a crisis of loyalty arises. Kazan, emboldened by his new power, suggests targeting Ingras as a distraction. Vlad intervenes, sacrificing Kazan to protect his son. At that critical moment, Lucian arrives with a holy cross, creating a protective barrier around Ingras. Resigned to his fate, Vlad entrusts his son to Lucian, enduring the agony of the sun as he and his vampire followers perish, sealing his legacy as a dark protector. In the aftermath, Ingras is crowned the new prince, unaware that Vlad's story is far from over, hinted at by a mysterious revival in a distant future.